that the good daddies get the baby mamas who act like they just so single and they struggling? And why is it that the good daddies get the baby mamas who act like they just so single and they struggling? And then the good mamas, we get the baby daddies that just don't do nothing, just don't choose to do nothing. I never understood. It's never like an equal. And it offends me as a single mom for a woman who baby daddy does for her and her children or child or whatever you want to say, and act like they just single, like the daddy don't do nothing. Because then it's like, girl, shut up. Because that if that man get that child more than 48 hours, and that ain't even a lot, but my kids don't ever be gone. Them suckers is with me 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days. So if a daddy is getting their child for more than 48 hours, constantly giving the kid money, buying the kid shoes, socks, drawers, what the fuck are you complaining for? Bitch, I wish my baby daddy would do that. I asked my baby daddy for something that motherfucker didn't need to. One time my baby daddy didn't even give me nothing for Mother's Day, but got his girlfriend stuff for Mother's Day, and I'm looking like, bitch, I'm the one with your kids. So I just don't understand that. I don't understand it. Why is it that the good
Shalom. I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone who still rule and teach well. Peace and blessings and safety unto the Lord's elect. And get right into it to answer a question. The reason why is because of the curses. That's the reason why. That's the reason why the relationship can never just be good. That's basically what she's saying. You're either going to have a deadbeat dad or some bitter baby mom. And when Jake, when I say Jake, I'm referring to Jacob, the Israelites, the sons of Jacob, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Seminole, Native American Indians of Negroid and Indian descent according to the seed of the Father. You are the biblical Israelites. And the things that you go through on a day-to-day basis is a witness and a sign of that. Pursuant to Deuteronomy 28, and I'm going to read the 15th verse. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." So the Lord told the Israelites, which is us, and I'm going to prove it with the curses, that if we do not obey his covenant, that first covenant, that the Lord is going to bring all these curses upon us, which obviously these curses have befallen us. Now, let's go to one of the curses. Well, first let me prove that the curses are a sign. Deuteronomy 28:45, it says, "Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee." So these curses have overtaken our nation. These curses are overwhelmingly found in our nation as opposed to any other nation. And this is how we are able to identify ourselves with the scriptures and with the heritage of the Israelites. Because the Israelites are under a certain punishment from the Most High, a specific punishment from the Most High. And dysfunctional relationships, dysfunctional family structure is one of those curses. It says, "Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder." You see, she was wondering. She was wondering, why is a relationship like this, and why is it like that, and why could it never be this? She's wondering because these curses are a wonder on our people. Because at the end of the day, majority of Jakes have good intentions initially. When you meet somebody, you got good intentions with them, both man and women, and shit just goes south, and you like, damn, how did it get to this point? Well, it's the curses. It's a spiritual judgment. It's a divine judgment upon our nation, that we will lack prosperity. Okay, we will lack order. Okay, your women would, your women would be masculine, have a desire to be independent. Those are the curses that's upon the nation of Israel. It says, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So these things are on our seeds, our children forever, so that we would know who we are. We'll be able to identify ourselves with the scriptures in the last days. So this is a sign to you Israelites when you're going through certain things that you are the Israelites. For example, Deuteronomy 28, just to move into her point. It says Deuteronomy 28, and I'm going to read, let's see, I ain't read this in a while. Verse 54, it says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother. Right. So you tell me what other nation has gangster rap and drill music and ops and, you know what I'm saying, get it back in blood. And what other nation is killing each other the way that so-called black and Hispanic man are killing each other? No other nation. But we used to have brotherly love for each other. We were given the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father, which teaches us to be tender and delicate amongst each other, how we deal with each other. But look at us now. Our eye is evil toward our brother. It says you got the guy on trial right now, the nigga who killed what's his name? Julio Fulio. Little light-skinned Jake was one of the ones that, you know, murdered that individual. And that's just another example of our eye being evil toward our brother. The fact that you would take another man's woman and sleep with her and brag about it and make a song about it. Our eyes are evil toward our brother. This is only amongst you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. You don't see a bunch of so-called white people, Edomites, making country music about killing each other and popping each other's women. You don't see a bunch of East Indians doing that shit or a bunch of Chinese doing that shit. It's only you, because you're the one that's under this divine judgment, this divine spell of these curses. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, right? And toward the wife of his bosom. So your eye's evil towards your women. Listen to this. And towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. You see? And that's what she said she claimed she was dealing with, you know. And a lot of times, it's two sides to a story. But she said that her baby daddy left. Well, that's one of the curses. It says, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. How many, matter of fact, let's ask ChatGPT. What is the percentage and demographic of single-parent households? In the United States, about 22 to 30% of households with children are single-parent households, depending on how they're measured. The U.S. has one of the higher single-parent rates among developed countries. Around 80% of single-parent households are headed by women, and 20% are headed by men. Now let's look at these racial disparities by race and ethnicity. Black, so-called black African American, roughly 45 to 65%. And 80% of those is headed by women. So what did that say? The man had an evil eye toward his children, which he shall leave. He left them. It says roughly 45 to 65% of those single parent homes are so-called black or African American, and 25 to 35% are so-called Hispanic and Latino, while 15 to 25% are white, and Asians, Americans, roughly less than 10%. So this is a general census showing you that the ones that dominate the single parent homes, the men which shall leave, is you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Israelites. Now let's deal with the women. Verse 56, it said, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and for tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom. That's why they make up stories, try to paint a narrative. Here it is, he's a decent man, but she's going to try to paint a narrative to make him seem like he ain't shit. She's on social media talking about, I wish I had a real man that would provide for my children, this and that. Meanwhile, she's getting $400 in child support every month and spending it up. You know, or she has like the lady said in the video, she has a man that's actually doing for the children, but she's trying to paint this picture because she wants to be looked at as independent. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and towards her daughter, and towards the young one that cometh out from between her feet, and towards her children which she shall bear. Right, because there's a lot of abortion going on in our nation. For all these she shall eat them for the want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. And that's going into the siege of Jerusalem. But let me type in abortion. In the U.S., roughly 1.1 to 1.2 million abortions per year. It says black women account for 39 to 40% of them, white women 32%, Hispanic women 21%, and other races 7%. So it says that black women account for 40% of all abortions. And remember, her black and Hispanic women are the same nation, so you can combine their statistics. So this tells me that 60%, 2/3 of all abortions is done by you Israelites. Read that verse again. Deuteronomy 28:57. And towards the young one that cometh from between her feet, and towards her children which she shall bear. For she shall eat them for the want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness. Like I said, that part's going into the siege of Jerusalem, 70 AD, where our women and our men committed cannibalism. It says, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear the glorious and fearful name of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua thy God, then will the Lord make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues and long continuous, and sore sickness and long continuance. And our nation is sick, and it starts with a mental sickness. If our people wasn't sick in the mind, then they wouldn't be in these conditions. But it starts in the mind. That's why the Lord and his truth commands us to be transformed by the renewing of our mind, because that's where the healing starts. It starts with the belief of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua, which is the true name of the Heavenly Father and his only begotten Son. So to answer that woman's questions, the reason why our relationships never seem to work out or never seem to go smooth is because of the curses, and you are the Israelites. Okay? So Lord wants to edify, and I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua. Kwame Asherah.